Hi, I'm Kinkas. Welcome to Synth DIY Guy. I have here in front of me today the Tabor module by Jolin Lab. And the Tabor is a very unique and interesting chaotic sound and CV generator featuring 4 reverse avalanche transistor oscillators that interact with each other in chaotic ways. And actually, let me clean it up a little bit. This, by the way, is the new Bifaco synth brush, which is super nice. Anyway, let me explain first the panel here because it's a little bit cryptic. What you have are frequency control for each oscillator, which is labeled F, and the M control is the amount of cross modulation happening between the oscillators. So for oscillator number 1, you have manual controls over frequency and modulation right here, these 2 knobs. So this is frequency and this is modulation. And you also have CV inputs for both of them, which you can see via the thicker line in the panel graphics here. Each thick line connects a CV input to its manual control. These are the controls for number 2. These are the controls for number 3. You don't get knobs for oscillator 3, only CV inputs, and they're the top left and the bottom left inputs. 3 frequency and 3 modulation. Over here, the bottommost 2 knobs are frequency and modulation for oscillator number 4. And they also have their CV inputs here. Now, the main audio output for the Tabor is this one over here. It's actually called NM, N on top and an M on the bottom. But you also get a trigger output, which is kind of trigger, kind of CV, depending on what's going on there. And you can use this to use the Tabor to trigger voices or events or modulate parameters of something else. And then over here, the ZZ output is the fuzzed envelope output that comes out of the built-in diode-based distortion circuit. The module uses Vactrols extensively. You might have seen them if you looked at my build video for it. It's a fun build if you like DIY. And there's one more jack, which is the RM input, which is kind of a starving attenuator input. You can determine how much power you're sending to those 4 oscillators, so you can actually stop them from sounding, but you can also find intermediary points where you're just starving them but they're oscillating, and that can be quite interesting. So why don't we start by just listening to it and fiddling with it manually, and then we'll slowly start adding some modulation, and then we'll have a look at it as a chaotic clock generator and or a CV generator. Okay, so I have it connected to the oscilloscope here, from the oscilloscope to my mixer, so I have some volume control, from there to a little bit of reverb with the Pico DSP, from there to the TX2 on my Analog box, and from there to my audio interface. And over here I have my little cable cube from Nobotron to make cable access ready and easy. Anyway, let's get started. Turn up the volume on the mixer. Now let's fiddle with oscillator number 1 here. So as you can see, it's not really linear, it's kind of crazy. By the way, each oscillator is represented by an LED in here, so you can kind of watch them do their thing too, as well as listening. Now if I want to have manual control over 3, I can just send 2 channels of my fader bank here. 1 and 2. 2 inputs, 3F and 3M. And now I also have manual control of those. Very interesting sounds get out of this thing. Listen to that fuzzed output for a second. I like it too. It's a little bit softer and mellower. Not by much, but some. Right? It's also only positive. You can use it as a modulation source to FM something. For example, let's just get an oscillator going here. How about we take the generate 3 core output, just a triangle wave. Stick that into second input of the mixer here. We'll turn that first one down, and now we'll send this Tabor fuzzed output to the exponential FM input of generate 3 here. Alright. So now what we're hearing is generate 3 being audio rate modulated. And now let's play around with these guys. Badass. Let's make it subtle. Bring down the level. We can bring this volume up a little bit. A very interesting chaotic FM source. Let's go back to the main output and M output, which is bipolar. That'll work well on the through 0 FM input here. Alright. Kinda nice. Nice and chaotic. It's very unpredictable. Okay, why don't we send it some modulation now? Let's take an LFO from filter 8. So we have a low rate, resonance high, and all of the outputs are now LFOs. We can take some of those. Actually, I don't want to take too many of those in there because they will be somehow synced, just out of phase with each other. So we might as well take advantage of some other modulation sources I have here. For example, the contour 1 here is acting as a positive only LFO as well. Put that in here. 2 frequency. Right. Let's take a random voltage to a multiple. These cables are all short. I should have gotten some longer ones. Here we go. Let's take that random output to a multiple here, and we can randomize the speed of the LFOs a little bit. And why don't we use that trigger output from the Tabor itself to trigger that random voltage. So put that into the clock in over here of the RLFO. And let's use some more random voltages. Send some of them to the Tabor itself. Let's turn the knobs a little. Shuffle those offsets a bit. I'll send another random voltage to the generate 3 oscillator itself too. Cool. Let's go back to listening to the Tabor instead of modulating the generate 3. So I'll take that blue cable, plug it back into input 1 here. Now we can use generate 3 in low frequency as another LFO, right? So now take that core output, stick it into frequency channel 4 here. Right. Or how about we use the contour 1, first contour 1 here in loop as well. And we'll send the Tabor to a low-pass gate from the agogo. And we'll take a second output so it's a little bit saturated. Have a look at the agogo demo. I think you will like it. It's a bank of 8 LPGs. It's really nice. And we'll trigger that with this contour 1 over here, which we're using a clock and an envelope generator. Trigger that. Alright. Actually, you can use this one as a clock. We'll take the rise and send it to another multiple. And we'll take the output of that multiple. And one can trigger our random voltage, clock in. And the other can trigger our envelope generator. And we can randomize the length of the notes too. Actually. So we'll go to the rate, random voltage to the rate. Contour 1 here. Alright. Let me fill it with some knobs again. Try to find a sweet spot, change the ranges. Okay, we can use generate 3 number 2 and send that modulation signal from Tabor to the ZZ here or the TR. Why not the TR? Send that to the exponential FM over there, and we'll send that to channel 2 of the mixer. We'll take the full one here, full output, generate 3 oscillator. Let's try the ZZ. There we go, ZZ output's a little working better for that. Now let's see what that starve does, right? So I'm gonna send output 6 of my fader bank to that starve, and then see, since the fader is down, we get almost silence there, and as we raise it up, things start getting a little more crazy and chaotic again. That's nice. I like this as a global control for the Tabor. Make it more sparse that way. Or more dense. Check out those sounds. Why don't we go to a delay here, a stereo delay, make it a little more immersive. There you go. These are cool sounds. Very fun, chaotic space music. Let's leave it starved like that and then just let it do its thing slowly. Oh, I think we completely starved it. Let's go back to... That's nice right there. Now let's modulate that. And that's, we'll take an LFO from the RLFO, triangular, plug it right into the input for that channel, and now what we have here is a scale and attenuation, as well as offset. And we can make that super slow. Ooh, nice. I still have some inputs that I'm not modulating here, just 2 of them. So I can take some more outputs of my filter 8, for example. Let's take one that's not too closely related, and we'll modulate this guy, the M of oscillator 2. And we'll do the same with this one. Take the odd out of the generate 3 here. Let's see if we can find some more. I'll offset that starve a little bit. Why not send a random voltage to the delay, maybe? I might have run out of longer cables, have I? Let me just grab another here. Random voltage is here, right? One more. Send that to CV of the effects. So this is just the Tabor right here. And this is that Analog Generate 3 modulated by the Tabor, as well as a random voltage. No random voltage, just the Tabor. You can make it lower. That's super cool. And in low range, which should be an LFO, we're still getting something very audible. Let's bias that. And bring it back to audio range. There we go. That's a sweet spot right there. I like that. Let's bring up the Tabor again. Here's very different sound. I really like this. It definitely sounds very like a space alien, but animal alien, you know, like humanoid aliens. Little space animals. Birds or mice that you'd find in Pandora, maybe. So yeah, this is the Tabor with all the holes plugged, and possibilities are truly endless. Like, we can make things a little slower. Even the low pass gate a little snappier. That's nice. So it doesn't have to be dense chaos all the time. Turn some knobs here and see what happens. When you do that, you know, pretty randomly as well. At this point, it's so chaotic that you don't really know what you're doing when you're turning something. Right? A couple of things you do. Let's turn up that generate 3, 2. Now they're both together. Let's go back to using the trigger as a clock, which is the rise here, right? Gonna need a longer cable, or just stretch it with a multiple. So it's not sounding right now, right? Because the Tabor is going through a low pass gate that we're not triggering yet. But we will now. We're going to take the Tabor itself as the trigger output. There we go. And we can make this even shorter now. The envelope. There we go. What happens if I bring all the knobs to 0? Let's turn on the oscillator again. Very cool. So yeah, hours of endless fun with this module. If you're looking for something crazy, abstract, chaotic, and noisy, highly recommend it. Super fun. Looks great too with the lights in the heart of the panel there. And that's it for today. Hope you liked the video. And I'll see you soon. Stay noisy.